The DC film Black Adam was a surprise for me. I really did enjoy this movie. And I have to say, if you're a fan of DC characters, then definitely check this one out. Honestly, I thought this movie was never going to get made because they had announced it 8 years ago, and it took them so long for this thing to become a reality. So, the story of this one that it follows the origins of Black Adam, and he isn't going to sleep for 5,000 years. And when he wakes up, he causes mayhem to the bad guys. I must say that this one, it was entertaining. I had a good time. Now, as enjoyable as this one is, it's not better than some other DC films that has released over the last few years. The reason being, there are other elements this film is trying to juggle, but at the same time, this is not a horrible DC movie, far from it. The action scenes in this film were cool to look at, even though they weren't some of the best in the DCEU, because in my opinion, I think there are better fight scenes in some of those other films. Nonetheless, if you can give me an action scene and it can be very entertaining, then I'm invested. Now, I do admit that while not every film in the DCEU has been a success because there has been misreception for some of those earlier films, and I do get what Warner Bros. Is trying to take this universe. The Black Adam character, he's known a whole lot as being the anti-hero, and this movie did a good job of that. And while not everything about this movie is great, for the most part, I was thoroughly entertained with this one, and I'm looking forward to looking at it again. Nonetheless, though, while this ain't the best DC film that came out this year, I would still recommend it to people out there, especially if they're fans of comic book movies. Now, the acting in this film is real good, especially by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He pretty much did carry this movie. I like his action scenes that are present all throughout the film, his charisma. It is a good thing that Dwayne Johnson actually rallied to have this movie made because it took them nearly a decade, but it finally happened. But this film, I wish it could have been longer. It's less than 2 hours long. And I felt like if it was a longer movie, we would have known more about this character. Or better yet, have him appear in Shazam 2. I think his appearance there would have been better, in my opinion, like I mentioned. The only reason being is because this film is tackling three things. It's tackling the Justice Society of America, it's tackling Dr. Fate, and then Black Adam's origins. So, it's tackling all these things. Like Black Adam, he's literally killing the bad guys. And then the Justice Society of America is like, hey, you can't do that. And, it's trying to juggle all these things, but that doesn't mean I found this movie boring, far from it. I was entertained. Now, hats off to Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. What a great performance he gave. Also, Aldris Hodge as Hawkman. Like the fight scenes between, three of them in the movie were just great. And I have to say that this movie, while I wouldn't say it's one of the better films of the DCEU, it does keep you quite engaged. But, not everything about this movie is great. The two actors that played Adam Smasher and Cyclone, their characters were not all that of importance. We don't know much about them. I ain't say they're bad, but I would like a little bit more of character interaction, obviously. And then the villain showing up in the third act. Hey, we all saw it before in other DC films. I didn't care for the villain, when he showed up at the end. But for the most part, this is a entertaining movie, like I mentioned before. And when it comes down to it, this is not a great film, but I find it pretty decent in my opinion. I'm giving this film a 7 out of 10. If they had a little bit more of concise storytelling instead of adding these extra elements, then this movie would have been even better in my opinion. The film that shows up at the end, who I'm not going to name because of spoilers, the JSA, the Intergang, when you put those elements in, it does make for a plot that I believe it does work for what it is. But I really felt like if you took out the JSA and gave them their own movie, then that would work better for this film. This movie is still enjoyable when it comes down to it, and it gets quite a few things right. This movie is one I'm going to enjoy over the years, and I'm eventually looking forward to when Black Adam does eventually meet Shazam, because I really believe there will be some cool interactions between those two characters. Plus, they are fast-tracking a sequel, so I'm really looking forward to what they do with that movie. And the mid-credit scene is without question one of the best mid-credit scenes I've seen in a DC movie over the last few years. I was real excited for it, I was happy to see it, and if you've seen the movie yourself, then you know what I'm talking about. At the end of the day though, I am hyped for the DCEU. I believe it's heading into a great future for itself. And the mere fact, if Warner Bros. Can give us good DC films, then I'm all for it. And that's my review of the film Black Adam. Okay, leave your comments down below in the section and let me know what you think about this movie if you have seen it. Alright, this is Slim Guy 172 saying peace out.